You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Now, I forgot that I had this button here. This is a button, so when I ask you a question and you don't answer it or you're thinking about it, I forgot that I had this. Listen to this. So if I say to you, now what do you think about this, Wayne? And there's a bit of a pause, I can do this.
Oh, the crickets.
Crickets! Because you got nothing, you're trying to think of an answer.
They're very good for fishing.
What?
Crickets.
Crickets?
They're good for fishing.
Are they?
Yeah. Someone told me that, but... well, they are. They're good. You
Seriously.
just put them on your... you probably get in trouble for being cruel to crickets now.
Oh, no, I've got low calcium... What have I got?
Crickets,
Bones. Chalky.
worms, chalky.
Chalky. Now, I want to ask you this, Wayne.
Yes.
The great George Foreman left us.
Yes.
Left us.
Yes.
One of the greatest. What would be the greatest sporting thing? The greatest sporting event I've seen. Probably that.
What?
When he fought Muhammad Ali.
Rumble in the jungle.
Yeah. And where was that?
In Africa.
Yep, it was. I
Yeah.
think it was in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Yeah. It was incredible.
And
Ali Boumbaye.
Kumbaya, wasn't it?
Boumbaye.
Boumbaye.
Ali Boumbaye.
Kumbaya.
Ali. I don't know. Sounded Boumbaye. Ali Boumbaye.
Yeah, they all speak the same.
No, they don't. It was Ali Boumbaye.
Ali, yeah.
The fight
Bombaya.
I don't know whether you're a fight fan, although you
Yeah,
noticed Ali in the
a
background, and
fight fan, yep.
I had the chance to meet him myself, but didn't. But that fight got delayed because of George. I think George got a cut in training, and it got delayed, and. That's one of the greatest victories, and that's why Muhammad Ali, in my opinion, is the greatest heavyweight of all time, because he went into that fight as a massive underdog.
Massive.
And if you knew what Foreman had done to Joe Frazier,
Yes, I do.
prior
I'm a fight
to that
fan.
second round, and made him look stupid, yet
Stupid.
Ali and Frazier went the distance, and nearly both didn't come back out. So the fact that he could go then and not only win but end up, winning by the way of knockout. Just unbelievable. That sent George into a depression.
Yes,
for a fair period, and
then he got under the George Foreman grill.
And then he was a priest.
Yep, he sold 150 million George Foreman grills.
I had a George Foreman grill.
We've got a. We
still got one.
Yeah, I got one.
Still got one.
Yeah.
Surely it's worn out. Do they still sell them? Are they still on the market?
What do you mean worn out?
Well, you would have bought that years ago. You would have put a fair amount of stake on that.
Yeah,
Or
but that's what they're designed to do: heat up, cook food, and then you turn them off.
You'd be a sausage man, would you? You'd be one of those blokes. You go, come and have a barbie, Sam, and everyone brings out round a knife fillet and a Scotch fillet, and some nice little French cutlets, and you bring around 3 dirty snags or 4. There's
Steak and 2 veg.
There's nothing better than a
When
good
we-
snag.
when
I cooked a barbie last night.
Did you?
I did.
What on?
On a Weber.
Weber.
Yeah, on a Weber. I got myself a Weber.
Yeah, do the plasterers in Mount Gambier use them? You mention them every other minute.
The Weber. No, so I cooked a few snags for the kids, and then because they don't like steak.
Is the gas plumbed in, or is it in a bottle?
No, this is in a bottle.
Oh, you can't buy houses now with the gas plumbed in because the government says don't use fossil fuels. Have you ever?
Yep.
Can you believe the country or the state we live in that someone says you can't use gas?
So the George Foreman grill, just back onto that. It was a big thing because we were the first club. I don't know whether you ever had it, but we had a dietitian. Dennis Pagan brought the dietitian in. So having your skin folds done. Actually, I reckon Sue came down and spoke to us at North Melbourne, but all around fitness and all of that sort of stuff. And so we had the diet. So then the little things. So obviously no butter and all of the low fat milk, so skinny milk and all these things.
No rosé.
All the little no rosé back then. But back then there was no mid-strength beers and that either.
No one had ever heard of rosé.
Polished
back
a few of those off. the old
Yep.
VBs and
Yep.
so we all got a George Foreman. We got the grill because the fat ran. When you think about it, it's pretty basic sort of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit like
heats up the plate and the fat just
it
drips down into a container.
It's not a puzzle, is it?
No, it's not, well, George designed it. If he did,
I don't think George
150
designed
million.
it. I don't think he designed it. I don't think he made a stack off that.
I think he made a fortune off it.
I think I read, but not as much as what he should have, given it was named after him.
Well, I think he made more from that than he did from boxing.
I don't think George used the grill all that often.
No, I think he might have eaten the grill for roughage.
Hey, have you heard the interview? We should get it. There was an interview that BT did with George Foreman.
No.
It was back when BT worked for, I don't know, RVN or some station way back when he just retired from footy, and he interviewed Nadia Comaneci, who was I think the first person ever to get a 10 in gymnastics in the Olympics. Might have been the, let me guess, would it be 74? Anyway, I just remember. So anyway, he interviewed her, which is one of the great interviews, because he asked her why she didn't get a certain score, and she said, "I was 10." Anyway, it's one of the great interviews. And then he interviewed the great George Foreman.
Yeah, she was 10 years old, you mean?
She was 10 years old, right?
Sue might know, because Sue was about the time Sue was winning one of her 3 world titles in aerobics.
74 Montreal Olympics.
Just glossed over that.
Yes. No, I'll get back to Sue. Like I said, we had her as a guest speaker at our from memory. But the point that I'm bringing up, that BT interviewed the great George Foreman, and George put him on hold 3 times. He said, look, I've just got to go. And BT's sitting there going, George has just put me on hold. He's a very busy man.
Phone interview.
Yeah. And anyway, it's one of the funniest interviews ever. And I got sent it. The great Luke Tunnelcliffe sent it to me the other day as a reminder of one of the great interviews. But he's just a champion person, George Foreman, an absolute gentleman.
Absolutely.
And I've watched a lot of documentaries on him.
Sue
He's beautiful,
Stanley OAM. She got the OAM because she's 3-time world aerobic champion.
Yes.
She's just got this on the machine here. Coming 2 years after his retirement from boxing, Foreman was set up financially. Speaking at a rally, Foreman said he made $200 million from the grills and was once earning as much as $8 million a month from selling the grills. And
back then, that's hell of a lot more back then.
Well, there's a good question. What year, thank you, Sue, what year do you reckon he won he beat Ali in the jungle?
You mean Ali beat him?
Oh, yes, I beg your pardon.
That was in the 70s.
Yeah, 76. It's extraordinary. Now, do you know how old you were then?
Yeah, I do.
5.
Yeah.
Do you remember the fight?
No, I'll tell you what I do remember. So the one thing my dad, I do remember watching.
I was 36.
I do remember watching. Oh, it's incredible, isn't it?
It is.
Who would have thought? Have a look at you. You don't look a day over 50. No, I do remember sitting and watching Ali in a fight, but right towards the end of his career, when he was well past his best. So I obviously didn't remember that at 5, but I've watched it many, many, many times since. So he's a great man. We've lost someone that, when you talk about someone that can speak openly about, the depression he went through after doing that. He was a boxer, and he had a different
man.
way, very humble man, became a great priest.
Unlike Ali.
You don't think Ali was humble?
Not at all.
No, he did. Well, he didn't come across as humble, but
no.
And
he was a bully.
He did some great things, Ali.
What he said about Joe Frazier was disgraceful.
Is that bullying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think it was just. I don't think back then we even knew what a bully was.
Me and Joe Frazier. I was in Joe Frazier's corner at this football ground when he came out here and fought.
What about when Ali took a stance about going to Vietnam?
Not listening to one word I'm saying.
What about when Ali didn't go to Vietnam? Do you agree with that stance?
Well, a conscientious objector.
Yeah, what did you think? What's your view on it? took a lot of talk about being a bully. What about the courage it took to do that?
Courage, not to go and fight
lose
for
his
your country.
to lose his world title, and then say, I'm going to go and fight someone that is, I'll repeat exactly, you know, his exact words. I'm not sure you can say it, but he said, no Viet Cong has ever called me the word that you're not allowed to say, and he was spot on. He said, my fight's here in America, not on the other side of the world. And it's one of the most courageous things I think any sports person has ever done.
Not to be called up, just to just object and.
No Viet Cong has ever called me, and he's right. And then when he came home, Muhammad Ali, he came home and he went to go to a restaurant, and he had his medal on, and they said, we don't serve you. You go around the back to the back window. Took his medal off and threw it in the Mississippi River. Did you know that?
I knew he threw his medal. Is that because of that incident?
Yes, it was. Well, if you believe everything you read or watch.
Carl Lewis.
Yes, I know who Carl. How did we get on to Carl?
Because I'm going to tell you the story. Carl Lewis turned up at a restaurant.
Yep.
And they wouldn't let him in because he was a
African American.
Yes. The bloke said no. He said, the bloke said, no, you can't come in. And he said, do you know who I am? I'm Carl Lewis. I've just won a gold medal for winning the 200 metres. And the bloke said, oh, well, in that case, I know.
Did you hear about? Don't tell us. Did you hear about?
In that case, your restaurant is.
Well, there was.
200.
I heard a very good story during the week where this certain gentleman walked into a restaurant, and there was a group of people in the restaurant. This man had, thought he was a bit of a hero, and he walked in and said, "I want to buy everyone in the restaurant except for that gentleman over there, who was an African American gentleman sitting there." Having something to eat and a drink. He said, I want to buy everyone in this restaurant a drink except for that man over there. And they said, well, you know, and the gentleman didn't get too upset. He said, oh, no, all good, you know, and he was surprised by that. And then he said, all right. He realised he didn't upset the gentleman. He said, well, I want to buy everyone in the restaurant a free meal, whatever they want on the menu, order it, except for that gentleman. The gentleman just sat there and said, you know what, yep, go for it. And anyway, in the end, the gentleman, this went on, I think he might have bought a round of sweets as well for the whole restaurant. And in the end, he said to the waiter, he said, you know, I've tried to upset that gentleman over there. You know, I just can't understand why. But I've bought everyone else a drink and a feed and all that. And he's sitting over there and he's not perturbed at all. Why is that? He said, because he's the owner of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
Anyway.
You telegraphed it, but it was, I could see it coming, but it's good. No, I like it. It's very, very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
There's a lot of restaurant jokes, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh, well, anyway. Now,
bloke walked
Ali,
into a restaurant
so
and said, you sell Jews? And the bloke said, just a minute, I'll go out the back. He ask.
Don't tell racial jokes.
Hang on.
What?
He said, do you serve Jews? And the bloke walked out the back and he said, I'll just check. He said, yeah. He said, we sell orange juice, apple juice and grapefruit juice.
So that's not.
Almost nothing to do with racial.
I know, it's not. You're dead right. Now listen, you were talking about Foreman.
Yep.
So yes, one of the great men we've lost. Obviously Ali. Joe Frazier's still going though, isn't he? Is Joe passed as well?
I've got a photo of Joe Frazier and me. I'll bring it up.
Three of the greats. I do say to Glenn Jakovich, when I talk about Glenn Jakovich, I say that when people talk about those battles, I said, you know what,
Glenn?
Glenn?
In that green box, I reckon.
You know what I said? I said, you know what, Jacko, you're the Joe Frazier of this relationship. I said, I'm Ali, you're Frazier. Right. I said, no one would even know who you were, Glenn.
I've seen you do that at functions.
I've done it.
He laughs. It could be, he might have wind, but he has that ridiculous grin on his face. You're a very good team, you and the Jacko.
Yes.
All right. So,
all right. What else you got for me?
Well, I've said this before to you, that the most dysfunctional, hopeless sporting organisation in the world are the Ferrari F1 team. Did you realise they all got disqualified over in Shanghai last Grand Prix for having the wrong weight in the car and the wrong fuel and the wrong... how do they stay in business?
But that wouldn't matter, would it? Wouldn't make a difference if they had all of that, because the car doesn't matter that much. It's all about the driver.
But Wayne, it's like you've got to have the right specification.
In case you didn't know, I was being facetious.
I knew that, Wayne.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. By the way, our Aussie won. He slid out.
I tell you what he's good at.
That's a great effort.
I tell you what, he's a young lad, and he doesn't. When he goes
has
across the line, he doesn't go whoa. He said, "Thank you, everyone. Very good. Well, appreciate it." He is the most sensible, down-to-earth man. Doesn't get caught up in all the hoopla. He is a star.
You know what I didn't ask you about the Grand Prix last week here in Australia? How did young Gardner go?
Gardner?
Yeah.
Doohan.
Not gardening. Doohan, sorry, not Gardner.
Doohan,
young Doohan.
Yeah, no, he's all right. He's
Mick Doohan's
probably
son.
not got the car.
No, did he go all right? Because I forgot to ask you.
Went all right. He got penalised 20 seconds for cutting off someone, so he went down the... can't find that, can we?
Yep. Sorry, Wayne Gardner, was his son... Did he have a son that was in... Was he in motors? I assumed he was. Anyway, I got that wrong. Mick Doohan's son.
Yeah, Mick Doohan.
Yeah, Mick Doohan. Yeah, superstar.
He is so. Get onto the people love you talking about the football. So what's coming up in the football? Are you following any of it or not?
Yeah.
No, I noticed that you say you bring your diary to write things down. You used to prepare before you did footy classified, and you used to just work through all the topics you're going to discuss. And you said, "No, I come. Give us a look at your diary.
No.
Pass it over.
It's a private diary.
Well, it's just got two things written on a huge page. One is get there at 9 o'clock, and what was the other thing?
9 o'clock. Yes.
No.
It's all good.
Oh, thank you very much.
This is very... Oh, here we go.
Now look at that. Now look, I'm just showing you that.
Yep.
I don't know where I show you that. Just there. That's me. Joe Frazier was very impressed with me. He said to me, "Oh, I'm glad you don't box." He said, "I'm glad you don't box."
Yeah, well, you would have been probably... How tall's Joe Fraser?
He's about 5'10".
Yeah, so not exactly a giant.
No. And look at the definition on me. Look at that.
I tell you what, you're... what's with the mo?
Yeah, that's a mo. Yeah, that was in then. Shocking, isn't it?
Why do everyone having mows these days? I just don't get it.
How many people... thank you, Sue.
You've got a lot of boxes. Is that... Who's the gentleman you're in the... You've got Muhammad Ali there. Yeah. Who's the gentleman you're in the ring there? That's not Costa Zoo, is it? Who's that?
No, that's Johnny Van Wisser.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Do you talk about people who've got a lot of mows? How many people have tattoos? How many women have tattoos? I was watching...
Have you got any rubber stamps?
What?
Have you got any tattoos? Rubber stamps, I call them.
No,
I've got Ella there, which back when I got that was the biggest font they could use.
Who's Ella? Your daughter?
Yes, my firstborn.
Oh, so you must be covered in tattoos if you're having all your kids' names put on your body.
I'm going to get.
No, you're not, are you?
Yeah, you know what? We'll film it.
All right.
I'm going to get
Dane Swan to do it.
No, so I've got my other three children, all their initials are CMC.
Really?
Yeah. So they all have the same initials.
Wow, that'll save some ink.
So I'm going to get... Oh, look, he's calling me. So I'm going to get CMC with a little 3.
Who's calling you? One of the mothers.
The cook chook.
Yeah. Oh, the cook chook. You've got your chewing gum planted over the top of his head. Have a look. Show people that. Look. Show the fucking... This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah,
look at that.
Put the chewy there.
What's the chook one? Answer the phone. Tell him he's on. Put it on speakerphone.
What about the chook's photo? He's at least that's a better photo than what he had. At least the sunglasses are covering up most of his head.
Put the chook on. Say you're on.
No.
He'd love to be on.
Yeah, of course he would.
Hey, he came on. He said he sat there and you didn't take any notice of what he said.
I'm not sure he was right of mind.
Right of mind. Now, I was going to ask you something about that. So you waylaid me about the boxing.
No, the football. We're going to talk about. So this week, Sam, we're going to find out a little bit more about the rest of the competition. There's some big games being played. GWS play Hawthorn in Tasmania, which is probably in Tassie. Yep. So the Hawks are still playing games down there.
Yeah.
Until such time as the Tassie team comes in, which is it's what's that, a few years away now.
Yes.
So if the stadium is built and et cetera, and they tick all the boxes, but that is a fascinating game because both teams, people are saying that they're arguably the two best teams in it right now. So I'm very interested to see who wins this one.
Did you ever find out about the people who were suspended for their after-season activities? Did they ever fulfil their suspension? And did the umpire, he got a week, did he actually miss a week for dressing up as the Twin Towers or something?
Yeah,
or someone?
Yeah, well, they've still. I think they got 3 weeks, didn't they? A few of those players.
They got one bloke got 4 weeks.
I think the notable one. I think was
notable.
There was a note.
No, because he dressed up as Bin Laden or something, did he?
No, the notable one that's out that would be in their best 18.
Yeah.
Sam, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. Oh, why didn't they suspend the captain? What's his captain's name?
Captain, Toby.
Yeah. Why didn't they suspend him? He was there.
Yeah, but he didn't. I don't think he.
They wouldn't suspend.
Well, they all got fined for even being there.
I know.
Hey,
is it that is the most cringeworthy nonsense I've ever heard?
Yeah, I think that was one of the more silly ones.
Mr.
Well, there's so many inconsistencies in this great game of ours, Sam.
There is,
isn't there?
That's one. You
see Rory Lobb split Big Mason Cox open with a punch to the side of the head, and they said it was in the action of spoiling. But they even said, I even heard an explanation from Michael Christian on one of the shows to say that even if Mason Cox was knocked out cold, he wouldn't have been given any weeks at all. What a load of BS that is.
BS.
Yes, that is because as we know, outcome. It's all on outcome. Mm-hmm. The action doesn't matter. It's what happens. It's what happens to the player that is hit in whatever matter, whether it's an accident or not. And we've seen. So we see young Jackson Archer get 3 weeks for running at a contest and would have got a free kick for being hit below the knees. Incidental contact, albeit a player gets knocked out, which you don't want to see, but he gets 3 weeks for that. Yet you can mistime a spoil, split someone under the eye, and not even a fine, nothing. It's quite amazing. Anyway, they're the inconsistencies that our great game throws up, and maybe that's why people love it so much, Sam. But it is a frustrating part of a supporter, like as you said before, the Bulldogs who got some horrific decisions against Collingwood.
I was to say, I have no skin in the game. That was extraordinary. Those decisions that an umpire can suddenly, I don't know if it was the same umpire or different umpires, can suddenly pull those decisions out. They actually changed the course of the game. 100%.
It happens often. It's not a lot often that our game has so much grey in it. So it's hard it's not necessarily the umpire's fault all the time. There is so much grey, and then because of that greyness, when they get put under pressure in a close game, I think that the pressure becomes too much and they make poor decisions. It's just we can make things a little more black and white.
Okay, so I'm going to organise.
We've got to organise this drive. This driving test.
I reckon I could beat you in golf with my leg in a boot still.
Yep. And you're going to give me 38 shots.
No, I didn't say 30.
You said 38 shots.
30 shots. I said I give you.
You said 38.
I did. I said 30. Thank you,
Sue. I'm trying to.
No, what? I'm stupid or something. so I'll take you down to my course. And we'll hit off. Yep. We'll see how we go.
All right. 30 shots.
30 shots. What would we play for?
So that means, I reckon, I don't know, bottle of rosé.
Yeah. Okay, bottle of rosé. Well, I can afford it. What I don't drink. What happens if I won?
I don't know. What do you want?
Oh, some chalk tablets from the chemist. chalky.
Some calcium tablets.
Yeah, calcium tablets. That's right.
Calcium
Now,
tablets.
have you got anything else? I know when I go away from here, Smeety, we've sent
Smeetsy, yep.
yeah, with the Australian. Fantastic. I did, as I say, I've been doing this I started this with Grant Thomas and Mike Sheehan, and then I dressed up as a woman pretending I was because Grant's got a very a business where he can't afford to have any controversy with political incorrectness because he's a captain of industry, and he said, "Oh, mate, you can't dress up," he said, "and take the piss out of trans people." And I said, "Oh, I just thought I'd enter the seniors tour as a woman and play golf." After that little fat fucker, remember he dressed up as a woman and played in an underage game and started all that stuff.
So anyway, you dressed up as a woman.
Yeah. So I withdrew from his podcast in deference to him. Yep. I get on very well with him. And then Don and Mick came in here, and we discussed.
You've gone through some partners.
I have, and
also on your podcast.
Mick and Grant. Mick didn't get on with Grant.
Yeah.
Mick Sheehan.
Why is that?
Because
he's still the best. I think Mike's still the best journalist going around.
Well, he's not going around anymore.
No,
he's
but
not
he should
dead.
be going
yeah,
around.
No, that's
he still does a little bit.
Yeah, he's good. And then Don and Mick fought like tooth and nail here. Don Scott and I, and we got fined $100,000 for vilification when those two discussed Nicky Winmar out of Victoria Park. I had nothing to do with it.
I know you've told me that, but listen, the thing about Mick, you brought up journos before, and you brought up Caro, and there's numerous, and whether ex-players or journalists, studied journalism. The great Mike Sheehan, and I can say this, and I didn't agree with everything that he wrote. He would have written things about me that I probably don't agree with, but I might have been delusional, as you are at different times of your career. You sit there and you're probably not completely honest with where you're at or
stroking yourself.
Yeah,
a bit.
All of those different things. I can't remember an article or something that he has said, and maybe because he doesn't get into the stuff off the ground as much as others do. And they're now all trying to look for something that you're doing off the ground rather than
like
on the
Caroline
ground.
Wilson.
And I think that I can't remember an article where you read about Mike and go, oh, geez, he's just way off the mark, or he's guessed, or he's made it up, or whatever. Are those days gone? Those journos, and then you look at I just think that it's quite unbelievable.
Well, I tell you, not often do I get surprised in life, but there's a man walked in here who looks like he could have taken George Foreman to the cleaners. I have no idea who he is, so thank you, Paul. Now we'll just finish. So I've never met you, but I just see Dickie from Muff, Dick. So now the penny has dropped.
I've never seen you absolutely pooed your pants then.
Oh, I did. I thought someone might have been sent either from the police or the tax department.
No, I don't think the police or the tax department dress like that.
Oh, man, that frightened the shit out of me.
He's a big boy.
I thought the sun had gone in. You cast a shadow over
you thought you were going to cop another flogging, didn't you?
With the chalky bones, he would have relegated me into the fucking scrap heap. All right, now Wayne, the football. There's so many things I wanted to speak. What did you just were saying then before Paul Motor walked in? What were you saying?
No, we were talking about I was talking about Mike Sheehan. That I can't remember an article that or something that he has said about someone, whether it be about what's going on off footy, that you just go, oh, he's just made that up or he's guessed it. So those type of. By the way, I know I've said this. I said this a couple of weeks ago, but the Jay-Z getting the chief football writer job at the Herald Sun, that is the best appointment that that's the best thing that paper has done for a very long time.
Who's this?
Jay Clark.
Yeah.
Jay-Z.
Jay? Is that Jay-Z?
Yeah, Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Well, that's what he's Jay Clark.
What's that Z?
Well, I assume it's a Jay. He's known as Jay-Z, right? Anyway,
Hang
why
on
who
a
cares
minute.
a bit? Just listen.
What's Jay-Z? Is that his initials?
Yeah,
Jay-Z.
Jay Clark is his name.
Well, what's the Z?
I don't know.
Does it go J and then the letter Z?
Well,
Clark.
I don't know. But his nickname's Jay-Z. His name's Jay Clark. He's the chief football writer of the Herald
Name's
Sun.
Jay Clark.
Yes.
But he's not, so Jay-Z. Go on, yep.
Anyway,
Never heard of Jay-Z.
the best appointment that paper has made in
And
a very
what's
long
his
time.
credentials?
What's his credentials?
Yes, hello, I hope I speak clearly.
He's been writing for the paper for a very long time.
Jay-Z Clark.
He also works on Fox Footy. He also works for Triple M. He's built his way up nicely. He's very, very good. And he's on a couple of the footy shows with Joey Montagna and David King and First Crack.
Has he?
First Crack.
Jay-Z Clark.
Yes.
And did he play football?
He did a bit of boxing as well, actually. So
No, did he play football?
yeah, he would have played football, junior
I see.
footy,
Junior, yeah.
and senior footy
not saying-
at a certain level. Mike, just because they didn't play
No,
the
I'm not
highest
saying,
level,
not saying that
you're
at
not
all.
one of those
I'm
blokes.
not,
are you?
absolutely not.
Well, can I be honest with you? I was one of those blokes for a long time. I thought if you didn't play at the highest level, how can you write about it? But I've changed my view. I've changed my view. You can have an opinion.
You can be objective as long as you're not subjective about it. I always say this on myself. They say, well, let's speak about the grand final coming up. I said, well, I can't speak about what it's like to play in a grand final because I never have.
I think you can be. No, I think it's the opposite, isn't it? You can be subjective, not objective. I think it's the opposite of what you said.
Yes. Well, no, so
I
if
think
you've
you can
not
be
played
subjective.
football,
I think you can be subjective, not objective.
so if you've never played football, you'd like to be objective about what you're saying about it rather than
so
subjective.
matter of fact.
Oh, yep, that's it. Wayne, it's been, anything else? Any final announcements you'd like to make? Smeetsy, he's out there. Do you want to mention the plasterers in Mount Gambier again?
No.
I don't know how many times you can do that. Hey?
We've got a...
Well, so, you come on, what's Dylan in for?
No, what?
What's he in for? Come on.
We might get him on. One of your great loves, this man, he's, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Well,
incidentally, why is it unpopular to say that Donald Trump is an absolute star? Why is that unpopular? Because we get browbeaten by the riffraff, by the grubs, by the silverfish.
Who said you're not allowed to say that?
No, well, if you say you're a Donald Trump fan, people say, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" He is he's a star. He has taken the world over.
Yeah, I don't have an overly. I like him. I'm glad he's. I think he was the better option.
Then what? Wasn't that cackling hyena?
No.
Hey?
No.
That mad woman.
Joe. It's better than Joe.
But Joe's been a cadaver for 9 months. He's dead. He's been dead. They wheeled him out in a coffin and propped him up and worked him with batteries.
Okay.
They're the two people who were charged with running the greatest country in the world.
I'm a Trump.
And you wonder why they've been laughed into oblivion.
Let's go. All right.